Do you know what this all reminds me of? Have you ever heard of the Kelpies? Yeah, like the ones at Falkirk. Well, my gran used to tell me this story. She was always full of stories. Anyway, so the story goes that there was this group of children and they were by a loch. I don't know which loch, I don't think my gran knew either. Anyway, they see this majestic black horse stood by the water. And whilst at first they're a bit scared, they get the courage to approach it. And it's surprisingly tame for a wild horse. One of the children says that they want to climb on the horse and go for a ride, and the children are screaming and cheering, and all but one who isn't sure. Anyway, the children help each other on this horse, and they mock the child who, decides to stay ashore. Still, the little boy only watches as this horse skips magically across the water, and the children are laughing and cheering with joy. That is until the horse starts going deeper, farther into the water. And the children are stuck, they can't get off. And his friend just watches as the horse and the children are submerged and devoured by the deep, dark waters, never to be seen again. Heavy, right? My gran always said, beware of the Kelpies. Our first date was going swimming at Loch Lomond, which should have been a sign in itself, but he looked nice on his profile and I didn't have any plans, so I said yes. Have you ever met someone and everything in your body is saying yes to them? Yes to everything about them. See, I'd never had that before. He was like this magical magnet of beautifulness. I knew I liked him instantly, really liked him. And the date didn't stop there. He took me for food after, and we talked and talked and talked, and all I wanted to do was listen. His voice is silky and addictive. And he was gorgeous. I couldn't stop looking at him. And he made me feel vulnerable and safe and open, and this was just the first date. And he took me for a movie after food, and then we went for a drive, singing the night away. He didn't want it to end either. Our first kiss was in a club, which isn't the most romantic setting, granted, but by then we were shit-faced. Wine, cocktails, and a lot of shots. That is a magical potion for horny disasters, which is definitely what I became. And you can't judge me either. I have seen you do way worse, with way uglier. And when he kissed me, God, I finally understood all of those films. The ones with the fireworks behind them, and everything's in slow motion, and the world just melts away, and it's me and you, and everything's spinning. God, I want it back. Even now it makes me feel like, yeah, I'd fallen for him. Hard. It's that kind of connection that you never really come across. I didn't think I'd ever find it, and yet here I am. I'm so sure about how I feel about him that I introduced him to you lot, which is a big deal. I mean, in our group, you guys are like the in-laws. You have to pass the vibe check. And he did, he really did. He was charming, he bought everyone drinks, he did everything right. You were weary though, I remember. You were trying to suss him out, which I didn't understand at the time. I think it was just still so intense then. I didn't see it. Or I didn't want to see it. Well, apparently, my nan also told me that young women were told to look out for handsome strangers because Kelpies could shapeshift. They were warned to look out for water weeds in their hair and, this is even funnier, hooves for feet. There was once this beautiful young crofter woman and she was by a loch. And this gorgeous man approached her and charmed her and asked her if she could comb his hair, as you do. Anyway, she said yes, so, she laid his head on her lap, and it took her a moment to see why there were water weeds and why his hair was soaking wet. And realising what he was, she began to hum and sing lullabies to send him to sleep. Gently lifting his head off of her lap, she scoots on out of there and runs home, and she was smart. She kept her wits about her. She didn't trust him immediately. Trust your instincts. You ever look back on the situation, you just start seeing all these things. Things that any normal person would just call a red flag. I mean, if you told me half the things he did, I'd be telling you to block, run. I think some of me knew it wasn't going to end well. And you know me with my instincts. They are never wrong. Things he said, I just didn't hear. He was just out of an 8-year relationship with his ex. He still lived with his ex. He still ran errands for his ex, despite his ex being an absolute arsehole. He told me he didn't want to have sex with me because he had lost his sex drive. And he kept calling me a friend, despite seeing each other every week, messaging every day. But I excused all of these things because he was nice to me. He would take me for dinner, take me swimming, do all these fun things. And we made a playlist together. All our favourite songs we vibed to. I told him things I'd never told anyone before. And he was funny. And an idiot, but a cute one. I liked him. And everything suggested he liked me back. And I supported him. I supported him through so much. And then I had to go away for my grand's funeral. Yeah. Anyway, so I went to Edinburgh to spend some time with my family. And part of me was scared to go. You know, like, you can taste the storm coming. Your tongue is buzzing and you have this sinking feeling in your gut. I think part of me knew that going away was going to change everything. And I was scared of that. It was a beautiful day in Edinburgh. I was meeting for lunch and I missed him a lot. I was so excited to see him, and hug him and smell him. He always smelled really good. So anyway, yeah, we meet for lunch and I could tell he had something to say. I could just tell he had something to say to me. Good, bad, I don't know. But then I started thinking, oh God, he's going to say it, isn't he? He's going to tell me. He's going to tell me he likes me. I slept with my ex. I had nothing to say. All I wanted to do was run, get the fuck out of bed. I couldn't move. It was like I was stuck to my seat. Like everything in my body had shut down. And he was telling me things about his ex. So cute, so vulnerable. How they spent the day in bed together. How his ex was texting him at work saying he could still feel him inside him. Every word was heavy on my heart and I felt myself sinking deeper and deeper. We had plans to look around shops after, but I made some excuse and left. He didn't seem bothered or fazed or even aware of what he'd just done to me. And then there was silence. A stalemate of me not wanting to message him out of bitterness and him not caring enough to check in with me. The silence was horrible. He was all I could think about. He was eating my days, my nights, even my sleep. Every morning I woke up checking my notifications, feeling my heart break piece by piece every time I didn't see his name. I was walking along Princess Street and I was okay. Well, as okay as I could have been. I had my headphones in and Spotify shuffled. 10 minutes of All Too Well faded in. And you know I've been a fan of Taylor Swift for many years, but her music had never hit so hard. The music, the lyrics, the tone. And suddenly, I wasn't okay anymore. My sunglasses, protect me from the tears, but they still rolled down my cheek. They didn't stop. People watching me wiping them away. What were they thinking? Did they care? I know he didn't. He had no idea. I was just focusing on step after step because I knew that if I didn't stop, I wouldn't move again. I actually searched for the story online and my gran left a bit out. Never got to ask her why, but I could take a guess because it's pretty gory. Yeah, the first story with the little boy. Anyway, before the horse skips magically across the water, the little boy touches his nose. I think out of curiosity more than anything. And his fingers were glued to his skin, like they were sewn into it. And the boy knew he was right. His instincts were right. It was a trap. And he knew that if he didn't cut himself free, that something bad was going to happen, so he cut his fingers off. Mad, right? Do what you have to do. I broke the silence. After 2 days of agony, we spoke on the phone and I told him I liked him. His response? He didn't know. I know, it doesn't make any sense, but I still liked him, despite everything. The hurt and the pain, I still liked him. That connection I felt was still there, clinging on. When I got home from Edinburgh, he took me for pizza. He was acting as if nothing had happened, nothing had changed, as if he hadn't just flipped my life upside down. It was horrible. The pizza was god-awful. This is not where I wanted to have this conversation. And he eventually addressed that my energy was off, and I said we needed a talk, a real talk. So I got in his car, where it all began, where we went for that first swim at Loch Lomond, and I told him everything that had been on my mind. I was real, I was honest, I told him everything. His response? I feel like an asshole. I thought we were just friends who were horny. I told you I didn't want to be anything more than friends, I'm sorry. And that was all I needed to hear. I felt those thinning strings, I felt a connection snap as I cut myself free. And the sadness disappeared until I was angry, I was fucking raging. I wanted to smash it. I wanted to scream in his face that he was the most selfish, arrogant, fucking self-obsessed fuckface 20 dickhead that I'd ever met. What do you mean you didn't know? What do you mean we're just friends being horny? Because it felt so much more to me. I was ready to commit to him, spend my life with him. I fell in love with him. I actually fell in love with him. The first man I'd ever loved, and he ruined it. But I didn't say any of that. He drove me home in silence. We were outside my house, and he asked if I wanted a hug. Absolutely not. Take care of yourself, were the last things he said to me. I went inside my flat and I blocked him on everything. Deleted photos, chats, and playlists we made, all traces of him, gone. And you know what? For the first time since I met him, I finally felt free. Like I could breathe again. He had consumed so much of my life and my time, and finally I was taking back control, and it felt amazing. So I'm back in the dating scene again. And yeah, some days are easier than others. Time heals all wounds. The whole thing made me realise that I deserve better. It reminded me of my worth. And that wasn't because of him. No, he does not deserve that much credit. And I don't think about him as much anymore. But when I do, I think about how he's going to ruin someone else. Destroy them, break them, and drown them. Because I knew he'd learnt nothing from this. I just pray that whoever he tries to screw next will notice the ugly hues he calls feet and the gross-ass weeds in his excessively gelled hair.